Well, hello, folks. Hopefully, this will be quick. I'm just still getting over that cold. It was a long one. 3 days was acute symptoms, and then 10 days about, not feeling too good and coughing. The cough is subsiding now, and I still have this feeling of fatigue, which is no fun. And I really hope it goes away soon because I can't afford to be fatigued, feeling fatigued. I've got too much to do and so little time to do it. So I have to focus on optimal energy from now on and making sure that I'm fit and well fed and I sleep well and all that. Anyway, the bullshitter in chief and all of his minions and all of the people in the government, almost all of them, they're just full of it. They're storytellers, and they're not even good storytellers. They say whatever they have to say to keep their jobs and maintain the various grifts that they're operating, the scams. The name of the game for Uncle Sam is to keep the world safe for U.S. financial services, hedge funds and banks and so on. That's the reason they hate the idea of BRICS, because it means less business for them. And that's the reason why if you don't allow the U.S. and its financial system, basically, to run the businesses in your country, or at least to tax them heavily, they will try to get rid of the regime that's against U.S. business and put a regime that's for U.S. business in its place. It has nothing to do with the American people, democracy, freedom of speech, or any other culture wars issues. Those are separate. It's simply, to make sure that the money is bumped up to the top. It's a mafia, basically. A lot of rent seekers and profiteers working the system. That's the rules-based order. The only rules-based order that really matters is great natures. None of us can skate away from that one. Eventually, great nature is the arbiter of what animal survives on this planet. Obviously, we're making a mess of it at the moment, and we're causing mass extinction and so on, and we're supporting, in a bold-faced, open way, genocide. Imagine, in the old days, Rwanda, you could say, well, I just don't know anything about Rwanda. I've never seen it. Where is it on a map? What is it? And we could deny whatever injustices happened in apartheid South Africa. The list is long. And you can say, well, I don't know. I don't know where it is. I don't understand it. It's not my problem. This one is a blatant land grab and a grift and a genocide, and we don't seem to care. We just shrug our shoulders. The WWE, World Wrestling, what is it? I don't know what E stands for, but whatever that is, any entertainment, any sports entertainment is far more important to Americans than geopolitics or economics or science or any issues like that. It's too complex. We have weather whiplash all over the world now. The weather is very strange in the States, and even here in Portugal, you'll have a few days of upper 20s in my region to maybe up to 33 degrees centigrade, up to the 90s, from the 60s to the 90s. And then it'll just go back down, and you'll have several days of, 60 degrees, 65, 70-degree weather. It's like, it seems different from what I'm used to, but I don't know anyway. Long-term weather trends, there's plenty of data. The climate scientists know what's going on. They're learning more every day, James Hansen and people like that. But we don't care. We're not paying attention to that. All that matters is making the world safe for American finance, period. That's what it's all about. That's the great game. And getting new stuff or having entertainment that's interesting and stimulating, that's just a side effect that's part of the game, part of the system, but hardly matters compared to loaning money and collecting rents and debt and creating more money and financial liquidity and managing the whole thing for the benefit of a few large institutions in the global north. That's what it's about. China with capitalism with socialist characteristics would take a long time to sort itself out. China is a much different system. I encourage everyone to learn about it if you're interested in these types of things. But still, at the end of the day, material and energy flows is the thing that's going to constitute the bottlenecks that bring down the system in general. We're just going to hit limits to growth. We're going to experience the blowback from overshoot, and that will be that. People talk about, oh, it's going to be another forever war between the Anglo sphere, the Five Eyes securities system, and Iran. And, another 20 years war. It's not going to last 20 years because in 10 years, there probably won't be enough water in the region to sustain large populations. The weather is going to, the heat is going to accelerate like a hurricane. It's going to be faster than anyone thinks, and the cascading feedbacks involved with it are going to exacerbate all elements of the polycrisis. And you're going to look at a region that's so devastated just by climate change and global heating that, fighting wars over there will be a moot point. The global north will be trying to figure out how to keep the refugees away. So if you're Israeli, you care about justice and truth and kindness and morals and ethics, you might want to leave Israel now and go back to wherever you came from, whether it's Eastern Europe or Russia or the United States or whatever part of the world you left to join the Zionist Israeli project. You might want to go back while you still can. It's probably a good move for you. And I think you'll find people don't hate Jews in the United States or Canada. You'll do just fine. You won't be an Israeli anymore. Sorry for that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be the Arabs that destroy Israel. It's not going to be the Iranians. It's not going to be the Pakistanis. It's not going to be the Palestinians, Hamas, Hezbollah, Yemenis. It's going to be the climate, the polycrisis. It's going to bring the whole damn shit show down. In the meantime, the players are going to play their game because it's the only thing they know. It's their culture. It's their reason for existence. And they have no reason to not play. They're still getting well compensated, living large, playing the great game. So they're not going to stop. And people aren't going to do anything because Americans in particular, and many people in the global north, are too well off. They're just too comfortable and happy. Too many wonderful diversions and distractions and excitements and stimulation and entertainments to, they can still get by. They can still borrow money. They can still buy now and pay later. And that's all that matters to most people. So until they start to hurt, I mean, it's going to be this thing where, oh my God, all those global south people want to go north or further south because they have to. I don't know if that's a decade away or 20 years or 30, but it's coming and nothing can stop it. Unless you're a true believer in aliens coming to save us or Jesus or some supernatural being coming to save us or the tech bros, Silicon Valley, all the geniuses down there, who are, by the way, are not smart geniuses. They're just playing finance games, valuation games, stock market games, and a lot of their products, although they're pretty amazing, could be a lot better. And a lot of them are just crap, but we buy them anyway. If you can make money, capital and capital returns in the stock market and bond market, you're going to do it. If you have extra money, you're going to do that because why wouldn't you? But at some point, that's going to fail as well. And all bets are off. As a radical, it's not that I'm a radical revolutionary. I have an ideology like socialism or Marxism or neoliberalism or radical libertarianism or whatever you want to choose. I don't. I'm a radical in the sense that I just have opened my mind to the facts of nature as far as I can know them at this moment, and as far as any expert in any particular domain can know them at this moment. And I have to admit that we're not going to skirt by or past or through the laws of nature. It's not going to happen, no matter how smart we are and how clever we are and how good at storytelling we are and how much we want to believe. It's not going to stop the facts. If we had some, if like Martin Luther King said, if the universe bent towards justice, I say the universe is bent, the human universe, bent in the sense that it's corrupt, like a bent policeman in the UK. It's bent. It's not bending towards justice. If we were literally, in a Steven Pinker-esque way, bending towards justice, we wouldn't be in this situation. Yes, because of material reasons, because of energy in the form of oil and gas and so on, and our technologies and industrialization and all that, we have a relatively more peaceful, more just world. Perhaps, I mean, it's difficult to gauge exactly. There were a lot of crazy sickos that led the Roman Empire and the Byzantine Empire and any empire over the centuries, the millennia. And they came and went, and some were good and some were bad. We had good times and bad times. It's hard to compare the Middle Ages with modernity. It's very difficult. But modernity is going to be a blip, like a hiccup, compared to 1,400 years of the Eastern Roman Empire. We're not going to have 1,400 years. I mean, whenever you want to, mark the beginning of modernity, 500, 300 years, whatever, the Industrial Revolution, it doesn't matter. It's a blip compared to the arc of the history of civilization from, let's say, maybe 10,000, 9,000, 8,000 years ago, and everything that came along with it. Now, people say monkeys are evil, mean, bad, violent people. I mean, animals, chimpanzees, and so on. I don't know how violent gorillas are, bonobos and chimps or whatever. We talk about finding evidence of violent clashes between human groups 10, 20, 30, 40,000, 50,000 years ago in the archaeological record. We find artifacts and bones with injuries and all that. Yeah, we're a very rough and tumble animal, but we're also capable of living in peace and harmony and doing things that are healthy and good for each other. And we could be good, but our culture is not oriented towards virtue in the profound moral ethical sense. That's not what our thing is about. It's about making money, gaining power, prestige, and attention, the whole attention economy thing. I'm the main character in the main drama of the universe. I'm the most important central character, just like your particular version story of the one God is the one story that matters. Not all those other ones, Shia, Sunni, you know, Anabaptist, Catholic, Orthodox, whatever, Hinayana, different Zen Buddhism, whatever it is. We learn to make a distinction between these differences and distinctions without a difference in terms of like a monist all God thing or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, you talk about all these things like pantheism or animism, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We cling to certain beliefs, and nowadays in the attention economy, the cloud capitalism and all that, we are commodifying ourselves, and so we're trying to sell ourselves to the world, and we're aping or imitating or parroting or pantomiming a version of ourselves that's not real, that's totally fake, but that's marketable, that sells or sells something. And it's all fake, and it's all an imitation of imitation. And soon it's all going to be AI. You just put the prompts in, and your beautiful world comes out. I love these influencer videos where the guys are like, Moses is walking through the parted Red Sea, and he's talking about, well, I hope I can finish my video before the sea closes down. I think it's funny. I like watching the Yetis talk. All of it's very entertaining and fun. And I'll use it in my project if I can, if the parameters of where I want to distribute the project work out. Because it makes all these CGI things and certain kind of dream sequences that I might want to put in my piece available to me, affordable, at the current budget that I'm working with. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, I love all that stuff. It's really cool. But it requires a lot of energy and water and manufacturing and material flows to make these huge data centers. And as the world heats up, we're going to have to keep them cool. So we're going to have to come up with more ways to cool these data centers. And that's going to require energy one way or another, even if we're talking about heat sinks and passive cooling, because these data centers get super hot. So it's not going to be easy to keep them cool and to keep them running. At some point, they'll be unplugged. So I encourage everybody to use this technology while you can, and hopefully with some agency and some purpose that's good for something. At the end of the day, we'll be unplugged, and the collapse will be more and more painful. It's not going to get any easier. If you're a tech optimist, you think I'm nuts, but I understand nature better than you. And if you're a test real bro, you just want to use everything, every last bit of energy and materials to build the machine, to ensure that there's a Dyson sphere around the sun so that you can have enough energy to cool the data centers. Or maybe you put the data centers on the dark side of the moon where it's already cool and it'll provide its own heat or something like that. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that field, but anyhow, that's what you want. You don't care about life at all, mycelium and communities, interconnected networks of complex living systems. It's not interesting to you. You want the latest, greatest chip to run your stock scam. Make us all believe that we can't get through another day without an LLM librarian telling us something. Now, Grok is sick. It's malprogrammed. The algorithms governing it are sick and fucked up. That's because it's Musk's thing. And Musk wants to start a third party. And you think a third party is going to help you in the United States. You only have one party, and that's the financial system and the Five Eye deep state security system that protects it. That's it. A third party will be meaningless. It'll be another distraction, another dilution, another culture war to keep your eye off the ball. It's a misdirection play so that Musk can rob you, because the only thing he cares about is government contracts, taxpayer money going into his ventures and not somebody else's. If you don't understand that about Elon, then you really need to grow up and read and educate yourself. Unfortunately, Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like her think that these weather events in the United States are coming from Chinese geoengineering or something, or Satan, or something like that. They just won't look at the facts of nature, how nature works, physics, thermodynamics, biology, energy flows, all that. They just don't care. They don't want to learn. They have a story, they have a good book, they have a version. So Opus Dei, I'm reading a book now about that, the history of that group, and Christian Zionists and dispensationalists and all these fanatics believe in what they believe, and they use these beliefs as cover and as moral kind of salve so that they can go about their business of robbing people, being a mob boss. It's all nonsense. Malcolm X had a lot to say about the political parties back in the day before 1964, and nothing's changed, not really. And
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. They see that the whites are so evenly divided that every time they vote, the race is so close, they have to go back and count the votes all over again. And which means that any block, any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You can keep Johnson in Washington, D.C., or you can send him back to his Texas cotton patch. You're the one who sent Kennedy to Washington.
He got involved with a cult, the Nation of Islam, which believes, the prophet believed a lot of crazy stuff. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a lot of crazy stuff. He outgrew it by understanding traditional Islamic traditions, and that it was a global religion that transcended race and so on. People in the Unification Church believe that Reverend Sun Myung Moon was the second coming of Christ. These people do work for the church. Maybe they get housing, maybe they get grants for their children's education, maybe they get something, but they don't get much. Most of the profits from their labor, their work, just as in any capitalist enterprise, go to the top. And even in a tax-free religious corporation, the money goes up to the reverend, to the priest, to the guru. And we've seen that across all cults. The U.S. System and the economic system is like a cult. It's a belief system. It's nonsense when you look at it in terms of what it really does, the various social constructs involved with it, money, currency, things like that. They're useful tools for certain things, but markets the way we have them structured and designed these days are ultimately metastatic, destructive, and they will fall apart in the end. So if you're lucky, you buy low, sell high, and make some money and have some fun. And you can go to the WWE matches and the UFC matches and the season tickets to the Nuggets or to the New York Jets or whatever it is in your country that you love to indulge yourself in, whatever diversion, distraction, addictions. We're all on social media now. We spend hours a day on it. It has a profound effect on us socially, culturally, and individually. And now it's on steroids with AI. So we're putty in the hands of this machine. And for any of us to claim we have agency, the ability to make a choice with conviction, an enlightened, intelligent, educated choice, is a kind of delusion at this point. Because we can't slow down long enough to do the work required to understand how things work. And you may understand how some things work to a certain degree, but you don't understand how the whole thing works. And there's a lot of genies flying around that can't be put back in the bottle. And there are a lot of things in your life that are a black box that you have no clue how they work. And that's a fact. So good luck with all of it. It's going to be very hard to maintain any real freedom or agency moving forward. It's going to be difficult. If you know how to use these machines, the software, the LLMs and the AIs, whatever tools they roll out as a stock market scam, you're going to think you're smarter, better, more productive, more efficient, whatever. It's all nonsense because at the end of the day, it wrecks everything. It destroys. It's ecocidal. And we openly support genocide now without even thinking twice about it. So we're not headed in a good direction. It's going to get us. So enjoy using it while you can and try to use it in a smart way. As I said earlier, do something decent with your skills and abilities while you can. Most people have no clue, so they're just going to continue as they are, believing that they're living in the best of all possible worlds. And I don't see any way out of it. I don't think there's any point in my commenting on what other people write or on the news or anything. Lots of people have made a good career and living off of talking about how stupid Trump is and whatnot, or how they hate Democrats or QAnon or whatever it is. And they work hard at it. They get their audiences. They make a buck. It's all bullshit. It's all distraction. It's meaningless ultimately. I just realize how absurd the whole thing is. And when I'm learning about what's going on, really going on in Ukraine or Iran or anywhere in the world, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't help anybody because you're going to believe exactly what you want to believe because you want to feel good and comfortable. And you don't want to hear things that you don't want to believe. Because most of us aren't the kind of people who would reflectively think about what we're thinking. We just don't do that. We think what makes us feel good. So that's that. That's what it is. I'm going to ask you to subscribe to Cospolan on YouTube. Because it's there that I'm going to put up this new project eventually, and just keep an eye on that space and see what comes up. I don't think I'll start doing that until next year because I have a film to finish, and I want to encourage you all to keep enlightening yourself, learn about how nature works. It's more important than politics. I'm sorry I can't talk anymore. Thanks for listening. Take good care. Have a nice weekend. Bouliam tea out.